Star Wars video games. They have existed alongside the main franchise since 1982, have adapted to various platforms throughout the series' history. Starting in the arcades, many games have jumped around various platforms. The library only started to get more expansive when LucasArts were able to start developing Star Wars games in 1993. Starting with Star Wars X-Wing. Games produced by George Lucas's company were able to expand upon the lore and worlds present in the original trilogy and help launch beloved franchises such as X-Wing vs TIE Fighter, Rebel Assault, and the famous Jedi Knight series. The last franchise they developed before the prequels was Rogue Squadron. However, many franchise sequels would persist into the prequel era of the early 2000s. In fact, new Star Wars games never really stopped releasing. The first game of note released during this era was Star Wars Episode 1. Racer, a favorite amongst many who grew up with the prequels, and after that the games just kept coming. 2003 was a particularly noteworthy year with the release of the excellent Knights of the Old Republic. From this point onwards, many critically acclaimed Star Wars games would be released to the public, including Republic Commando, Lego Star Wars, the Battlefront franchise, Empire at War, and The Force Unleashed. The flow of Star Wars games only really stopped after the release of the Old Republic MMO in December of 2011. As we would later find out, this was a result of Disney acquiring Lucasfilm and subsequently cancelling ongoing development of all future Star Wars games. Since then, EA has acquired the exclusive right to HD Star Wars games from Disney and have slowed down the pace of Star Wars releases, only releasing 2 Battlefront games and a third-person action-adventure game in the form of Fallen Order. The result of this is that only 3 games have been released in the new era of the sequel trilogy, which is rapidly coming to a close. However, with the ending of this era, another rapidly approaches, an era with new Star Wars properties, such as the Resistance cartoon show, The Mandalorian, Season 7 of The Clone Wars, the Cassian Andor series, and the Obi-Wan series. Presumably, that era will end when it comes time to introduce the new trilogy. However, it presents itself with limitless opportunities, especially in the realm of video games. Video games that will most likely be released how modern games are released. Let's look at how upcoming Star Wars games could be released in the modern age to accommodate the heavy amount of content set to be present. The more modern solution to make sure new Star Wars content comes to video games is via updating released video games. The 2 ways this can be done has been demonstrated by both Battlefront games, that being the Season Pass model in 2015 and a live service model as in 2017. In my opinion, the DLC Season Pass model is a bad system as it is limited to an arbitrary amount of releases. Although the focus on a certain piece of content release helps deliver a polished product, it is often restrictive in what is delivered. The model takes too long to update the game in terms of the community's wishes, and sometimes is unable to update the content to correlate with the piece of media it's based on, because it's not able to reflect where the medium has taken the characters and the environments. Plus, this model often costs consumers money and inevitably splits the fan base. Now, the other model is the live service model, which I prefer, often free, although supported by microtransactions. This model allows for direct community feedback in terms of wanted content. It does a much better job at gauging what will be well received, and is able to incorporate content from new external material. However, new additions from these new sources will most likely only be able to be added in a small way, or after a long delay. But more constant updates and the presence, however small, of new content within the game provides for a more engaging experience. These are the direction modern games are taking, but they could take a page out of the history books and release games like we've seen before. The previous era solution to incorporating new Star Wars was just straight up to make a new game. Star Wars games used to come out in the same year and be based on different and often new sources. Now, they did tend to be different genres, so it was assumed the average consumer would only pick up one a year, and only dedicated and minted Star Wars fans were going to buy games that came out in the same year. I like this approach because, as you can imagine, it drove competition, forcing creativity from different competing studios as the franchise wasn't behind such a strict license. The universe expanded thanks to the driving of different game genres, often exploring different aspects suited for their specific genre. Creative freedom was bestowed among studios in this environment where potential failure of one game would not affect the franchise as a whole. This ultimately led to more choice for gamers in terms of genre, era, story, game mechanics, and much more, leading to a situation in which if you wanted a particular type of Star Wars game, it was available or getting ready to be released. This philosophy only stopped when Disney acquired the license, as proven by the fact that many Star Wars games were being developed but were subsequently cancelled after this purchase. In conclusion, I much prefer the old method that was established in the 80s and continued well past the prequels. This model proved itself with the release of many classics. Now I'm sure I'm missing key factors like the cost of running studios, plus the state of quality control maintained across Star Wars licenses back then, but the modern day results do speak for themselves. So I will say, EA little bitches, don't shut down studios, be creative. That being said, the live service model of the modern solution has provided a great number of benefits, the best of which is the tight-knit community that has arisen from the support of modern games. It is truly something special that I really do appreciate. Thank you.